Welcome back. Last week, we spoke about the ICE³ framework. If you missed it, don't worry. We will leave the link to it in the comments below. Of course, if you subscribe to our channel, you'll always be up to date on the conversation. Anyway, back to ICE³. The idea was simple. Before you build any onboarding program, you need to know what the learner actually needs to learn. Not what content is lying around in folders called Final 5.1, Updated V2. Not what every department wants to add because this is also important. Not the epic 87-slide product deck that somehow survived 4 leadership changes and still has the old logo on slide 3. The real question was, what must this person know, understand, apply, decide and demonstrate to become productive in the role? That is the job of ICE³. But today, we are going to take it to the next level. Once we know what the learner needs to learn, how do we actually deliver it in a way that gets them productive faster? This is where the GetSetQuo approach comes in. So today's episode is going to be about a very specific shift from how do we deliver onboarding content to how do we design a journey that gets people productive faster. Because these are not the same question. The first question creates a repository with a schedule. The second creates a system. The first question asks, what should we cover? The second asks, what does this learner need to learn first? What should wait? What should be practiced? What should be nudged? What should be checked? What should the manager see? What tells us that the learner is moving towards useful performance? This is the GetSetQuo approach. It takes the content clarity created by ICE³ and turns it into an actual productivity program designed specifically for driving faster speed to productivity. The GetSetQuo approach is built around the 5W1H of onboarding program design. Who is the learner? What do they need to learn? How should they learn it? When should they learn what? Where should learning and nudging happen? Why should they continue and progress? Now, notice something important. What is only one part of the model? That is where ICE³ sits. ICE³ helps us decide what needs to be taught. But GetSetQuo asks the full design question. Because even the right content can fail if it is given to the wrong learner, in the wrong format, at the wrong time, through the wrong channel, or with no motivation and no useful tracking. This is how companies end up with completed onboarding and slow productivity. So let us start with who. This is where GetSetQuo asks a simple question. Are all new joiners really the same kind of learner? Usually they are not. 2 people may join the same role, but one may be experienced, one may be anxious, one may be digitally comfortable, one may need manager support, and one may already know the basics, but not your internal processes. This is why GetSetQuo uses learner archetypes. An archetype is not just a label, it is a design shortcut. It helps us understand what kind of support a learner may need to become productive faster. Let's take some examples. For example, a fast starter may already have experience and confidence. They do not need to be slowed down by your much more basic content. They may need advanced scenarios and early productivity checks. An overall newcomer may be new to this role and to the industry. They need smaller learning drops, clearer milestones, and more reinforcement. An experienced switcher may know the industry but not your company's processes, or the tools or the standards. They need internal ways of working content. A manager-dependent learner may need reassurance and guided practice. They need structured manager checkpoints not random help. A low engagement learner may drop off unless the journey uses nudges, streaks, reminders, and visible progress. A compliance risk learner may need repeated checks, reinforcement, and stronger evidence before moving forward. So the point is simple. The same role does not mean the same journey. The faster we understand the learner type, the faster we can design the right path to productivity. Now we come back to the what. This is the ICE³ callback. Once we know who the learner is, we need to decide what they actually need to learn. And this is where onboarding usually gets into trouble. Because every department has a contribution. Product says, add this here. Compliance says, add this policy. Operations says, add this process. Leadership says, add this culture video. IT says, add the tool walkthrough. Sure. Someone from 2018 says, please add the PDF that we had made then, it is very important. And suddenly, onboarding becomes less of a journey and more of a group product where nobody is allowed to delete anything. ICE³, as we mentioned last time, fixes this. It helps us decide what is must know, what is should know, what is optional, what needs practice, what needs evaluation, and what can be reinforced later. In GetSetQuo, this becomes the content architecture layer. We are no longer asking, what content do we have? We are asking, what does the learner need to know to become productive in the role? Next, we come to how. This is where we ask, what is the right format? Because not every onboarding needs or deserves the same treatment. If someone needs to understand a concept, maybe a short explainer works. If somebody needs to follow a process, maybe a checklist or a visual workflow works. If someone needs to make decisions, please do not give them only a PDF and hope for the best. Give them scenarios. If someone needs to build confidence, they need practice. If someone needs support during work, they need a job aid. If the business needs proof, it needs assessments, simulations, or manager sign-off. The format should match the outcome required. This is a simple idea, but it's ignored all the time. We teach actions through slides. We teach judgment through quizzes. We teach process through lectures. And then we are shocked when people cannot perform. That is like teaching swimming through a PowerPoint and then blaming the learner for getting wet incorrectly. And then we come to the where. And this is where many onboarding programs lose their productivity battle. Because they behave as if timing does not matter. Here is everything. Here is your LMS login. Here are 23 learning modules. Here are 14 documents that you must go through. Here are 6 sessions. Here are 9 policies. Good luck and see you at the end of the month. This is not onboarding. This is a controlled avalanche. The GetSetQuo process, the approach, uses drip journey design. Instead of asking the learner to consume everything upfront, we ask, what do they need before joining? What do they need on day 1, the day they join? What do they need to go through in the first week? What should wait until they have context of the organization and of their role? What should be reinforced after first exposure? What should be checked before they take on more responsibility? Speed to productivity is not created by rushing the content. It is created by sequencing it intelligently. The fastest journey is not always the shortest journey. It is the journey with the least confusion, least overload, and least wasted effort that actually does the job. Now let us talk about the where. Most onboarding programs are designed as if the learner lives inside the LMS. They log in, they complete, they log out, and then they remember everything forever. Very elegant, but not really how human beings work. Learners live across channels: email, mobile, WhatsApp, and interactions with their manager. There are, of course, team meetings, customer calls, field visits, operational systems, calendars, spreadsheets, just general panic. So if onboarding is trapped inside one platform, it becomes relatively easy to ignore. GetSetQuo treats onboarding like an ecosystem. The learning may still sit on the platform inside your LMS, but nudges can happen on email or mobile, on your WhatsApp. Manager alerts can happen through dashboards. Job aids can appear when needed. Assessment retries can be triggered automatically. Milestones can be celebrated. Escalations can happen when someone falls behind. In other words, the journey follows the learner. It does not sit quietly in a platform waiting to be remembered. Finally, we get to the why. This is where people sometimes misunderstand motivation. They think motivation means badges, points, fireworks, and cartoon trophies. Those can help. But motivation is not decoration. Motivation is what protects momentum. And momentum matters because onboarding is not a one-time event. It is a journey. If the learner drops off, productivity slows down. If they lose confidence, productivity slows down. If they forget why the next step matters, productivity slows down. If they miss a critical reinforcement moment, productivity slows down. So GetSetQuo uses motivation mechanics very deliberately. Progress markers should show movement. Milestones create small wins. Streaks create rhythm. Nudges bring people back. Recovery nudges reduce drop-off. Manager prompts create human interaction and human support. Recognition reinforces the effort the person's making. The goal is not to make onboarding cute. The goal is to keep the learner moving towards useful performance. And on that note, let us talk about measurement. Because speed to productivity cannot be managed by gut feel. Most onboarding reporting answers only one question: did they complete it? It's a useful question, but it's an incomplete question. For productivity, we need better signals. Did they understand the topics? Can they apply it? Where were they struggling? Which activity did they retry? Which topic is slowing down the cohort? Who needs manager support? Who is moving faster? Who is stuck? Which content is not working? Which nudge brought them back? This is where completion becomes only one layer. GetSetQuo proposes tracking progress across compliance, completion, comprehension, and productivity signals. Now, readiness can still exist here, but in this video, we are not making readiness the headline. We are using it as a proof layer. The headline is speed to productivity. Readiness is the evidence that the person can be trusted to move forward. So now let us connect the whole thing. ICE³ gave us the what. It told us what the learner must know, understand, apply, practice, demonstrate, and be evaluated on. GetSetQuo now turns that into a program. What gives us the role-critical content architecture? Who chooses how different learners need different learning journeys? How chooses the right format? When sequences the journey over time? Where brings nudges and support into the learner's workday? Why keeps the learner moving and gives the business visibility? That is the complete method. It is not a content checklist. It is not an LMS upload plan. It is not a calendar of sessions. It is a productivity journey. When this is designed well, new joiners do not simply finish onboarding. They move faster from confusion to clarity, from passive consumption to practice, from dependency to confidence, and from activity to useful performance. So, as a company, how do you actually apply this? Like always, we have a toolkit. The link to it is down below in the comments. It is available for free and you can use it anytime and for anything that you need. But let us get into it a little more in detail in this video. The process is fairly straightforward. First, diagnose the current onboarding program across the 5W and 1H. Secondly, identify the biggest productivity blockers. For example, are all learners getting the same journey? Is content overloaded? Are formats too passive? Is everything being delivered in a rush, too early? Are learners forgetting to return? Are managers carrying the burden? Is measurement stopping just at completion? Third, once you have got these answers, redesign the journey. Map learner archetypes. Use ICE³ to prioritize content. Choose the right formats. Create the drip sequence. Design the nudges. Add in the manager prompts and the manager involvement. Decide on the productivity signals that you want to track. And then finally, launch the journey. Once it's done, then you can always come back and improve based on learner data. Because a good onboarding program should get smarter with every cohort. If the same topic creates confusion every month, the journey should really change. If the same learner type drops off, the nudge logic should change. If managers are intervening too often, or if the load is becoming too high for them, the support design should change. That is how onboarding becomes a living, breathing productivity system. So here is the main takeaway that we want to leave you with. Last week with ICE³, we answered what should the learner learn. Today with GetSetQuo, we answer how do we turn that learning into a journey that gets them productive faster. Because onboarding is not successful just because it is full. It is successful when it reduces confusion, when it builds confidence, when it gives people what they need, when they need it, and honestly even how they need it. It is successful when it helps manager see who needs support, when it keeps learners moving and coming back, when it turns content into real-life action, and when the business can see people becoming useful in the role faster. This is the GetSetQuo approach. Not more onboarding, better onboarding, designed specifically for speed to productivity. And that brings us to the end of the episode. Do not forget that the toolkit and more interesting stuff is there in the links below. We would really like it if you would like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time.